Hello everyone, I welcome all you in this channel. In this video, we are going to explain the poem Don't Call Me Indo-Anglican, which was written by the famous Indo-Anglican poet Syed Amanuddin. So Syed Amanuddin is a US-based Indian poet and critic who writes in the modernist American tradition on a wide range of topics from love to science. His poetic works are Adventures of Atmos, An Epic of the Soul, Age of Female Eunuch, Challenger poems, The Children of Hiroshima poems, Gems and Germs, Lightning and Love, and he also wrote book on criticism, its creativity and receptions towards a theory of third world criticism. So Amanuddin is a allegoric to be called Indo-Anglican. He is a critic also who contributed articles on James Wells poetry and on Native American poetry. Like the American poet C. E. Cummings, Syed Amanuddin is one of the pronounced individualists of the poetic world. His individuality doesn't separate him from India's rich cultural heritage. It freed him from traditional forms. He has worked out methods of artistic expression to capture the individual emotion. He combines traditional values and contempts for conventions. He is known for strange word arrangement and candid directness of emotion. He is also known for typographical distortion and peculiar lacks of punctuation, capitalizations, word spacing, and word arrangement. He has used a definite structures to divide his poems into sections and stanzas. He has written the poems in an abnormal style without marks of punctuations and capital letters. He starts a line at the margin and then explains or elaborates it in lines that follow. Now we will discuss about the what are the main characteristics of his poetry. First of all, in the beginning of the 20th century, the term Anglo-Indian literature was used by E.F. Otten for the writings of Englishmen in India on Indian themes. Later on, Professor P. Seshdari clouded in Anglo-Indian poetry both English writers on India subjects. Later on, Professor P. Seshadri included in Indo-Anglican poetry both English writers on Indian subjects and Indian writing in English. George Sampson, in his concise Cambridge History of English Literature, included Indian writers in English. In all these surveys, Anglo-Indian literature had no racial significance at all. It means merely that this literature is a product of Indo-English literary relations. However, the word Anglo-Indian has also a racial meaning. Then the problem arises how to describe Indian creative writing in English. C.R. Reddy said, Indo-Anglican literature is not essentially different in kind from Indian literature. Many writers thought that the term Indo-Anglican was concocted by Professor K.R. Iyengar. Really, he gave currency to this expression. Later on, many other writers favored this. A few writers favored Indo-English, but the term Indo-Anglican has generally been accepted by most of the writers. Vicky Gook also titled his anthology of poetry of Indian writers as the Golden Treasury of Indo-Anglican poetry. Indo-Anglican literature is both an Indian literature and a variation of English literature. It is Indian in thoughts and feelings, emotion and experience, yet it has the graces of English for expression. In its own way, Indo-African literature too has contributed to the common pool of the world writing in English. Thus, the center of gravity of English literature has shifted to South Africa, Australia and India. So now we will discuss about the theme of the poem. Syed Amanuddin writes and dreams in English, but he doesn't like to be called Indo-Anglican. He is allergic to the term Indo-Anglican. He doesn't want to be a confusion of language. He hates hyphens which are used to join two words together. He calls these hyphens artificial bridges. He condemns all hyphenated minds which are the biased products of soul, which are not free from prejudice, ignorance, and superstitions. He doesn't like to be a monrock specimen to be analyzed, labeled, and stored in the salvage again and again. The poet says that those people who call him Indo-Anglican cloister him with a small group of people and thus make him an invalid. He introduced some autobiographical contents in the poem. He says that the river Kaveri flows in his veins. His mind is full of happy association of his native places, South India. He fondly remembers the Chamundi hills, goddess Durga killing the demon, and the musical and colorful fountains of Brindavan gardens. However, he is not confined to the childhood scenes. He has broadened his outlook, mastered language, and discovered truth. He has become enlightened by getting rid of narrow prejudices. He has moved freely like the ocean waves. His thoughts is free since he has traversed the universe on the wings of his thought. About Said Amanuddin says that he would like rather to grow with great poets like Kalidas, Kabir, Dante, Omar Khayyam. He will undertake a spiritual journey of inferno, purgatory, and paradise with Dante. He will meditate with Omar Khayyam on the mathematics of life. He will sing painful songs of love and separation with Mirza Ghalib. He will drown with Filippo kissing the moon's reflection in the river. In the end, Amanuddin says that he writes in English and dreams in the language of Shakespeare and Keats, but he is not Anglo and he is a poet. He has lived under various names and has the rich Indian cultural heritage of 40 centuries. He is now simply Amanuddin.